Welcome back to We Are Tottenham TV, the only place to be on match day. It's not the pre-match pump up anymore. It is now the pre-match therapy session, because let's be fair, pumping up for a Tottenham game at the minute is like trying to blow up a balloon that's full of holes. It's bloody impossible. I'm joined today by Jimbo, who's suddenly become invisible, and there he is, and also Dermatron as well, and we have Harry Scarf joining us shortly. Jimbo, how are you? How are you feeling in this wonderful week of Tottenham?
I'm not actually sure, Kate, how I feel to do with Tottenham. I'm not. I'm a little bit bewildered with it all, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah, to be fair, I think that's how a lot of people are feeling. A big disconnect from the club at the moment.
It's a long time ago since that.
It does. It seems an absolute lifetime ago since we lifted that Europa League trophy, but you know, it isn't that long. There he is. There's Harry. Dermot, coming to you next. How are you feeling, sir?
I'm like Jim, disconnected. 44 years I've been supporting this club. I think you, me, and Jim must be near enough, around the same time supporting Tottenham. I've never felt this disconnected from my football club in all my life. And if it wasn't for my channel, I don't think I'd be watching tonight. And that's how disconnected I feel. But look, we love the club, we love the badge, and that's what we need to support, is the badge, this thing on our chest. And all we've got to remember is we are Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, not the owners, not the players. We are the fans. And I keep looking back at Ange's press conferences and Bilbao. And that's what I keep doing. The last few days, I'm just looking back at Bilbao. I'm missing that day so much. It feels like a lifetime ago.
It really does.
Look, here we are again for a therapy session. I'm looking forward to it. And I don't have to pay any money to come on to get my therapy session. So that's a bonus too.
Exactly. 3 pre-match therapy sessions free of charge, something you never get from Tottenham. Nothing is free. And Mr. Harry, how are you, my lovely?
But thank you very much for having me. Sorry to keep you waiting. Just finish up my own podcast there. No, thank you. And of course, difficult times right now. But for me, I just look at it and go, whether you want Frank out or not, majority of us are, now Frank out, rightly or wrongly. We got to want Tottenham to win this game. For me, Tottenham will always be far more important, than any individual at the club, any manager, any player. So for me, Tottenham more important. And I absolutely cannot stress enough how we got to support Tottenham in this game. Some people would be like, I want us to lose because we want Frank out. I think we've got to want Tottenham to win this game for the interest of the club. For me, I can't stress that enough from some of the things I've seen today. So, up the Spurs for tonight. I know it's easy to look at the negatives. It is very negative, but I always try and offer a little bit of a positive outlook. But right now, it is, of course, dark times for the club. And, last season, I would argue was, paper over cracks, very thick paper. As we all said there, Dermot's just said it there. I mean, take me back to Bilbao, absolutely. And the reality is, upstairs, the owners have got to do so much more to get us back in a similar position.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's widely been publicised that Tottenham are in an injury crisis, and we've only got 11 fully fit players from I suppose you'd say the first team available tonight. So there's no point in us trying to decide who's going to play, because we haven't really got much choice. Jimbo, because of that reason, do you think Frank will be given, I don't want to say a free pass, but do you think if we do lose tonight, people will give him a bit more leeway, or do you think the pressure will still be on for him to be gone before Saturday?
I think, my honest opinion, I think he'd be gone before Saturday, win or lose. I might be wrong, but I think that they're probably just getting things put in place. Because look, I mean, I said it on our stream. He's a nice man. You can tell he's a really good person. You can tell he's a family man, and he's not a nasty guy in any way whatsoever, right? But at the end of the day, he's the manager of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, and he's bringing the club down, so they have to make a change. And I don't feel sorry for him in the sense that he's going to get a massive payoff. Well, I feel sorry for him in the sense of his he came into a bit of a shit show anyway, Kate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's been hard for him, and I don't think he suits this club. You said it to me a little while ago, and I was I think he'd do well, but you was right. He doesn't really suit this club. He's not the type of manager this club needs or wants. So I think it's going to be the end for him. It's just a matter of days. And I think it was because it was such a quick turnover, because we were playing tonight, that's why they left him in. So it wouldn't surprise me win, lose or draw if he's gone tonight, if they announce it tonight. But look, on the bright side, right, I saw on Sky Sports them talking about the Champions League, and they're saying that if Tottenham get 1 point out the last 2 games, they think that they'll definitely be in the playoffs. And if they get 1 win, they've got a good chance of being in straight through. So let's cling on to that.
Yeah, I mean, Dermot, there could be some truth in that. You know, obviously we played West Ham, and then it was a very quick turnover to this game. So if they were going to sack him, they've got to get someone in very quickly. We watched a journalist last night over on Last Word on Spurs, and he said he thinks that was the reason he's still here and that he'll be gone by Saturday. With regards to that, do you agree, or do you think, like I say, obviously we all know that we are absolutely crippled with injuries. Do you think this is going to give him a bit of breathing space?
No, I sort of said that on my own channel, that I think because it was such a tight turnaround from West Ham to today, I think it would have been very hard for the club to get anyone in sorted. I think he will be gone by Saturday, win, lose or draw tonight. I think the clamoring from the fans is too much for the board to ignore. I don't think they want to put any old Johnny in that. I think they're going to put the right man in to see the end of the season. And I think what they want to do is, in the next week or so, Frank does go and they do have an interim in, is announce the new manager straight away. Now, if they're going for Xavi Hernandez, he's out of work, so they can bring him in straight away. If it's Pochettino, then they want to get a man in to take us to the end of the season, and then Poch comes in the summer. So there is one thing. One of Poch's coaching staff is not with Poch in the USA, and he's free at the moment. So maybe Tottenham, if they are bringing Poch back in the summer, put one of Poch's old coaching staff in as interim manager until the end of the season. It gets Poch getting his in-depth into how he wants the team to play, and also they can report back to Pochettino if he is coming back about the state of the squad, who should stay, who should go. So I can understand Frank managing tonight, but I'd be very, very, very surprised if he's still there by Burnley.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I think he's going to be in the dugout come Saturday, but that's probably me because I'm quite a negative Nancy anyway, so I always fear the worst. Harry, you looked surprised there. Are you with the lads and think no matter what, this guy's gone before Burnley?
For me, he's got to be in charge tonight if they view us having a chance in this game or Frank having a chance of turning it around. For me, I think that's how they feel, but I'll be so disappointed, even angry, if that you keep someone here if they're going to be sacked either way. I mean, you've had it in football, haven't you, where a manager's in post, he's going to get sacked after the game. That's just wasting time. I know you want to get it right, but realistically, I don't see them appointing someone permanently. I think we'll take a Man United approach, interim till the end of the year. If they impress, they get the job, but unlikely that's what you do. It gives them more time to get it right. And managerial appointments at this football club have been dire. I think we've given them time. We haven't backed them. We've pointed the wrong horse. Yeah, we backed the wrong horse. That could be the case with Thomas Frank. But the point is, it's a very key decision. I think he won't be in the dugout against Burnley. I think, Kate, it's interesting you raised that because I still think right now that ever so slightly has the backing of the board, but we run a real risk tonight of losing badly, because Dortmund have only lost once this season. They're second in the Bundesliga, quite a way off Bayern. They draw a lot of games, but they don't lose because they stay in games. And what they do is they stay in the game. Then late, I think, will really pile the pressure on Spurs. Because I think when team news will come out, I want to get this out yet, but just about in time for the team news. Who knows? I know absolutely nothing. All that I do think is I think they play someone like Spence or Porro in a fullback position rather than turn to the academy. And I think that could be quite costly. You know, players like Porro and Vicario that are playing every game now, mistakes starting to creep into their game. So I'm really worried worried without Van der Ven's pace at the back, without any numbers really in midfield, without telling attack, the only positive, that we've had in recent games, is going to be extremely tough for Tottenham. And if you don't mind me just briefly saying on Frank, because last time I come on here, I was behind Frank. And, I give, in a way, no apologies for giving a manager time when you've got owners upstairs. My position is Thomas Frank is a good manager who doesn't get appreciated what he's done for Brentford, but he's not a Tottenham Hotspur manager. And the toxicity has got too much. He has to be removed from his post to end this toxicity. He's taking the brunt of it. For me, unfairly, all of it, but he should take criticism. I think he lives in cuckoo land, that we're very close to turn this around. And, I just think he's a little bit out of touch how he looks optimistic for the rest of the season when our games are getting worse. I think our performances aren't improving. The results, I would even say, they're getting worse. So for me, ENIC is the wider problem, but it doesn't mean that Thomas Frank isn't a problem. It's very hard. The reason I wanted to give him time is because I know that this football club is broken. It's rotten to the core by these owners, in my view, anyway. I think Jimbo's spot on that he walked into, I won't use the words that you said, but a hellhole, really. Literally a hellhole. That's how I believe. And 17th last year in the league, we won a European trophy. I'd absolutely take that over what we got now. But the point is, it was paper over cracks. We were really in a bad place. I think we're a mid-table club without an identity. But it doesn't mean that Frank should get away lightly, because he is taking the football club down. He's not had the impact I thought he would. So for me, I think West Ham was the end of the tether. For me, it was the substitutions. It was the performance. It was the result. And then the comments post-match that we should have won 2-1. We gave West Ham their highest XG in 45 minutes, and I don't like XG, but that's just an example of how we played. So, all doom and gloom at the moment, I know, but hopefully we can surprise people and get a result tonight. And, backs against the wall, it'll be, I'm sure, odds are against us, but it never surprised me if Spurs get a result. We love to do it the hard way.
Yeah. Dermot, I just saw your message on the private chat. You got a bit of news?
Yeah, it's about the board, something that you said, Harry. The little bit I've just got in the last few minutes is some board members, unnamed senior hierarchy figures, are reported to have held meetings to look at an alternative head coach options, indicating there is an internal disagreement within the board, either to sack Thomas Frank or keep him, or what they're doing. So the board can't even make up their mind what they want to do. I mean, that it just shows how bad this board is. I'm sorry. I don't know what you think, guys. I got a little bit more on it. Vinay as well. Spurs chief executive remains a key supporter of Frank's leadership and has been involved in public messaging about the stability and structure even after recent losses. So the board can't make up their mind, Kate. That's the latest I've just got in the last few minutes. Like,
the thing is, right, I've been watching football since I was a kid, right? I've supported Spurs for 55 years. I'm telling you now, right, you clip this, right? If they keep Frank in this job, right, in 5 weeks' time, we'll be fighting a relegation battle, right? And there's many reasons for that. Many reasons is because I don't think he can handle this club. I don't think the players are playing for him, right? It just looks like to me they're not playing for him. And his past record with this club over the last 6 months has shown that he cannot win games, right? We've got Burnley. They're not going to be easy. They're fighting for their life. We've got City. We've got Arsenal. We've got Newcastle, right? Can you see us getting points? We can't beat West Ham, who haven't won a game for 11 games. Before that, 3-0 we lost to Forest, right? I don't think have they won since then. I don't know, but they've got to sack this man, right? They've got to, because I'm telling you now, we are going to be in deep shit if they don't sack him. I'm telling you that. At least if they bring someone else in, right, we might get a manager bounce and get 3-6 points that we need just to get us that bit clear off of them. I'm worried if they're going to keep him.
I'm Frank out. I saw someone. I said on the pump up last week, if we lose or draw to West Ham, I'm fully Frank out. And yeah, just no question for me. I agree with Steve D. Vinay, he was like it with Arteta. He dug his heels in. He was, this is a project. We've got to stick by our man. And I can see him being the real, I think it's as much as we all slag Levy off and, I'm not saying that I'd want him back. I think we all know that if Levy was still here, Frank would be gone because managers have been sacked for less. I personally think Frank probably should have gone after the Forest game. But the fact that the North London derby was a disgrace, and then again against West Ham, absolute disgrace. But part of me, on a human level, because I am human, believe it or not, feels a little bit sorry for this guy, Harry, because it's kind of like a public execution tonight. It is going to be toxic from minute one in that ground, and he's got to stand on the sidelines and take it. And I think that's tough. I know people say he earns a lot of money, 8 million a year, but he is still a human being at the end of the day.
He is, but he shouldn't be toxic. This is the argument I want to make. I am now Frank out after West Ham, and I said if we lost, but if we showed a bit more fight, it would have been different, even though it's a horrific result against the West Ham side that were destined to the Championship before we played them. But so many things in that game, I just thought, do you know what, that's me done. But I still deep down know that Frank's a good manager. I think it shouldn't be toxic. We should all be behind Tottenham. It should be loud and proud. If we go a couple of goals behind in the game, I think there's an opportunity absolutely to voice our concern to the board. But for me, if we're going to be taking this whole toxic feel, which does not help the team at all, it should be directed from upstairs. They've gone through manager after manager. Just because you throw a couple of names, one in particular in Daniel Levy, under the bus, and you rejig a couple of faces, remove, two older members, you reshuffle the board, and don't really do anything else. It doesn't mean that everything's changed. These are the same owners with the same lack of ambition. Nothing's changed. Make no mistake about it. I'd argue in this window we've gone backwards because, for example, we've only got one fit winger in Wilson Odobert, because Tell's been quite vocal that he sees himself as a striker. Kulusevski's been quite vocal he sees himself as a 10. We've only got one winger at the club in Odobert. And to go back in the summer, we had 8. We had 8 wingers at one point in the summer. So to retract that seriously, for example, and just not replace people like Son and Johnson, it's just, for me, I just can't get my head around it. And I think these owners are awful. Honestly, awful. I think the fans are critical, and we need to get behind the team. I wish I was there tonight. I cannot, unfortunately, be there with my dad at work. But if I was, I'd be absolutely behind the team. I'm just one of those fans. No situation that I wouldn't turn up. I understand why people are disconnected. I'm not in the position to tell people you should or shouldn't be. At a young age, I'd try and be more glass half full, more positive. I look at it now and think you bring in a new manager, hopefully you get a couple of results. But I'm not stupid. I know that these owners are the problem, and I don't think things change. So I cannot express enough. I'd be really loud if I was there tonight, because I know the team needs the support. So jobs of a supporter, and our fans are fantastic, but the job is to support through thick and thin. And I'd argue you're more important as a supporter and needed more when things are tough. So I hope the fans are behind him. Even if you hope the fans are behind the team, even if you don't like Frank, you can support Spurs. That's the thing. And there should be no situation the fans want us to drop points about Frank. That's the way I view it. So I want them to support the team. And it's just a horrible situation. I could bang on about it for ages, but I'll go as far as saying that this club is rotten to the core. It's a top-down approach. That's the problem. The board are indecisive. Vinay, I don't think it's as bad as some people making out, but it's a pure PR stunt, what he says. He's a mouthpiece, he's a voice kind of person for the Lewis family and Edic, who have no interest in the football club at all, only interest in the business and making money.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just going on to something you was talking about, wingers and whatnot. Dermot, bit of a kick in the teeth for Tell this week. He's had a rough time. He's left out the squad. He was brought into the squad. Now he's been taken out the squad. Yes, it is only for 2 games, but even so, I mean, are you behind the decision to bring Solanke in, or do you feel like there was not much else he could do, or do you feel for Tell? How do you feel about it?
I feel for Tell. I mean, I really do. I mean, Solanke's nowhere match fit. How many minutes is he going to last tonight? 50? An hour at most? Tell could play anywhere in the front 3. He can play in the left. He can play up front. I think he can play in the right. So I look, I just don't know what Thomas Frank is thinking. This is a desperate throw by a desperate manager. And if he hasn't already, pushed the squad away for him, he's totally annihilated Matthias Tell. Tell's going to be totally want him out the club. He'd be onto his agent yesterday, get me out of this football club. Get me somewhere where I'm going to get a game. I don't understand him even taking them off against West Ham. That I'm just really couldn't believe that. So I really feel sorry for Tell. I really do. But look, he's the manager, and you've got to go what he says. But it's not the right choice, Kate. It really isn't.
How's that gone
so far? It really isn't.
Yeah.
You what, Jim?
How's that gone so far?
Not very well, actually.
The thing is, Kate, the thing is with that decision, right? It's a bit of a catch-22, I think, because I mean, Tell's looked better than he has been, but he's still not pulling up trees. And you've got the experience of Solanke. You know, he's been around the block a bit, and he's got a lot of experience, which might be needed on that pitch. Because if you look at that pitch, the team out there, there's not loads of experience out there, is there? So that's probably why he's picked Solanke. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
He could have used Dean Scarlett, Jim. I know he's a striker. He could have used him for tonight, the last 2 games, and kept Tell in there. I mean, that was an option.
What was the option? Say it again.
Dean Scarlett, he could have used him tonight. Why not have him? Do you know what I mean?
We're playing Dortmund.
I get that, Jim, but I just don't see the sense of putting in a half-fit player.
Can't be worse than Colomwani. I mean, no disrespect to Colomwani, but when he's hung out to dry when he plays right wing or left wing. You know, this is a striker, and not being funny, but I'd rather bring someone through for the academy that has a little bit more pace and energy about them. I think Frank has got to take the criticism when he's got the academy there. And Jimbo, you're absolutely right. There's a big game, but younger players will thrive in this environment. A huge night under the lights. They've got a point to prove. Whereas a lot of this team, I'm not saying they're not interested. I'm not saying they're not trying, but they're like, meh, just another game under this manager. Whereas the academy don't view that. I think, oh my God, come on then, let's bring it on. Like we've got players that if they were fit, you know, Saab, but also like we've got Graham Bergwall. I want them in this type of game. I think it's where they're really going to shine under pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw someone say, couldn't he have swapped Richie out and bought in Solanke? But the only option was Tell, because Tell was bought in because Solanke was injured. So it's got to be sort of like for like, if you like. Well, there's a lot of likes there. People are saying the lineups are out, but it's not out on Tottenham Hotspur yet. So
I mean, we know what the lineup's going to be. He's only got 11 first-team players. It ain't going to be
He's
hard,
hiding.
What
they've done, they're hiding the lineup. That's what they're doing. They're really making it as dramatic as possible. And then 5 minutes for kickoff. Here you go, lads. Doesn't give time to criticize it. So.
I mean, when we talk about the fact that the board are so bad, it's clearly highlighted on a night like tonight when we're so, well, Jim, I'll put it to you, we're so threadbare, our squad, you know, we've got injuries, but we haven't replaced Sonny. We've never really properly replaced Kane. We're very threadbare on the left backs, you know, and all the while this is going on with Thomas Frank, it's detracting from the fact that we need to be buying players in this transfer window, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but see, look, I mean, after 20 odd years of this ownership, right, I've seen it time and time again, Kate. When there's a bit of disarray at the club, it kind of suits them in a transfer window because they haven't got to spend loads of money because all the attention's not on the transfers. Most people are talking about Frank now, right? Getting Frank out instead of bringing transfers in. So I think it kind of suits them. I don't think they want to do. I think they're going to do some business, right? But I think they're going to do the bulk of their business in the summer, and they're not too worried about doing it now. But look, you know, they need to pull their finger out. You know, we're only 10 points off of the relegation, right? And 10 points can go like that. You don't win 3 or 4 games, which for Tottenham at the minute is very easy not to win 3 or 4 games. Then ones below you who are fighting for their life win a couple of games and get a draw, right? All of a sudden you're drawn straight into it. In a matter of weeks, we could be down there, right? Like in 17th, we're in 15th now, are we? 14th, 15th.
15th. Are we 15th?
They need to get their head out their arse, right? And sort it
Goal
out.
difference. It'd be 15th if it was goal difference, but Bournemouth in the end, they only got points, so it's somehow 14th.
Oh, okay.
They need to get their head out their arse and sort things out quick in this last 11 days of or 12 days of the window.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying. I mean, it does kind of work in their favour. And yeah, February is an absolute nightmare. I literally look at our up and coming fixtures. I mean, Harry, I know you're quite a positive person, and I am to an extent, although I'm gradually losing that positivity with Spurs. I literally don't know where our next win's coming from. I don't even go to Burnley thinking we should win that, because even though we're better away from home, Burnley are better at home. I am really concerned that we are going to get pulled into this relegation battle. You're muted, Harry, I think.
Sorry. That's it. We go. Third time lucky. Hopefully, it's just frustrating, isn't it? It's really frustrating. You're right that I'm positive, but I look at it and go, yes. My dad had this conversation with me pre-West Ham. He's like, oh, if we somehow lose this game, then we could get dragged into a dogfight. I was going, well. A couple of results and, we'll rocket up that table. But after West Ham, and I said to him, look, there's still 10 points, but the more I sit down and I think and I reflect, I look at the games coming up and I think, for goodness sake, this is going to get tougher. The point I would make, though, is I think typically as a side, we've thrived more against these bigger opponents where there's not as much expectation. I'd much rather that than we play a smaller team at home where like Wolves were expected to get a result and we don't deliver. I'd be more worried about Burnley, for example, and Burnley haven't got a win in God knows how long and we give them the first win. That means a real concern. I think it could be uncomfortable. I see no situation where Tottenham go down. No situation where they go down. But I do see a situation where we finish 16th or 17th. It's very similar to last season and end up winning nothing. And the thing is, we sold the dream we could compete on all four fronts. I'd make the case that we're competing on no fronts. Maybe the Champions League. We're not competing really at all in the Premier League. We're rotting away in fact and retracting, becoming a mid-table club without an identity, like an Everton, which we did do as well last season. And that comes as part of Enoch. But under Frank, that's the thing. Arsenal are up here and he talks about Arsenal an awful lot. And he's silly comments and little things like, you won't say this kind of thing to my face. It's just increased pressure on him because really, where we are now is unacceptable. The games and performances are unacceptable. But if he hadn't made silly comments, whether it be right or not, because he makes a lot of good points but puts it across in the right way. If he hadn't been as lazy as these comments or his action, Arsenal Cup incident, his comments, Arsenal weren't doing as well, he may have the back until the end of the year and the backing going into these tougher games. But it's the right reason that he's under pressure. And I think whatever happens, we need to get it sorted because, the typical club will be to get the January window out the way, then get rid of Frank. And then they wouldn't have had the window in January to have their say or bring in their players. And they won't be happy with the players. They won't be happy with what we've done. It's always Tottenham. We either leave it to the end of the window or once the window's ended to make a change on the manager or decide a direction or plan of the club, which is incredibly frustrating. But the thing is, we're forgetting we're halfway through a window. Great, we signed Conor Gallagher. That's fantastic. But as much as I'm happy we signed Gallagher, it's nothing necessary that we're missing. He's a body in there because we've got a depleted midfield. There is a lot of sideways backwards, which this team can do a lot. I know Beds and Cor and Paulini are out, but that is really what they do. The point is, we could have gone bigger and better. The Lewis family, Enoch have had an opportunity to show what they can do and have failed to deliver. But on your question, I'm talking for England here. The point is, this could get uncomfortable for Tottenham. It could get really uncomfortable, and we have to be very careful. And it's not a nice situation at the club. I'd still tell myself that we can turn this around, but realistically, it's not looking promising. I think we've got a squad that's not as good as we think. Even with everyone fit, it's not as good as we think. That's the reality. Of course, it should be doing better than we are. But Kate, it's tough times. But that for me just makes me more determined as a supporter to back our team, get us out of this situation. And well, let's say how it is, boot these owners out. That would be nice. But again, people go, oh, who else will come in and stuff like that. But we need to challenge them to be bolder, more ambitious, because we're just falling further and further away every season from the top six.
Yeah, I completely agree. The team is out just as Bodo take a 3-0 lead against Manchester City. Amazing.
Wow.
And look at the shock at the team, shock horror. We've got Vicario, we've got Danso. Obviously, Van de Ven is suspended for this game. We've got Xavi, Udogi plays. We've got Gray, Bergval, Romero, Solanke, Pedro Porro, Jed Spence, and Wilson Odobert on the bench. We've got Kinski, Austin, Kola Mawani, Scarlett, Uluesi, Thompson, Hardy, Byfield, Williams, Barnett, Akamrich, and Rosewell. Dermot, a bench pretty much full of kids that most of us, unless you watch sort of the under-21s, won't have seen play, and a team that I think we could have all predicted because they're the only ones we got fit. What do you make of it?
It is what it is. We knew the bench was going to be full of kids. Look, I think tonight we shouldn't blame the kids. I think the kids should be blameless tonight, whatever the result. They are going to get their minutes tonight. And look, we did do well last year with the kids, didn't we? They came on and we won a game, so they did come on. Look, what do we ever think of Thomas Frank? He's been dealt a very bad blow tonight. And I think we could all hate him on a football sense, but on a personal level, I do feel sorry for him tonight. because really he shouldn't be out there, Kate. It should be somebody else there. And I think on a personal level, I do feel for the man. But look, tonight the players have to come out and prove a point. We are 23 games unbeaten at home. We seem to do well under the European nights. And look, we're all in white. You know, we're playing with the passion of years gone by. So look, it's going to be a Spurs win tonight. We're going to go out there and we're going to batter them. And because we're Tottenham Hotspur, and I've got foolish belief that these players can actually pull the game out of their backside and win 1-0. I just think we can do it, or we're 2-1. I just think we're going to do it tonight. It won't be enough to save Frank's job, but look, all we need is a point to get into to guarantee ourselves a playoff place in the Champions League, and we will get that tonight.
Oh dear,
I must be mad.
I'm absolutely dreading giving my score prediction at the end. Jimbo, obviously we've spoke probably 1,000 million trillion times about this. I've lost a lot of respect. I've lost a lot of belief in Pedro Porro, who was at one point one of my favourite players, but I think he's become a little bit arrogant. He's become a little bit bolshy. You know, when Romero equalised against West Ham, he cupped his ears. He's constantly trying to rile up the fans, which I really don't like. And his performances haven't really been good enough for him to even behave like that. But I agree with you. And when you said it well over 18 months ago, it would be nice to see Porro, not tonight, obviously, because we've got a threadbare squad, but start on a wing and just see how this guy can do, because I think he put in 17 crosses or 20 crosses against West Ham, and some of them were great crosses into the box. But you've been calling for it. I mean, do you think there's any world where, maybe not Frank, because he probably won't be here, but a new manager might actually try Porro in a different position?
Maybe tonight, Kate.
No, I don't.
It might be tonight. You never know. You've got Spence in there and your doggy. But City have just scored, so it's 3-1. Look, I think he's more of a winger than a right back. I mean, I'm dumbfounded that no one's played him and tried him on the wing. You know, it's really baffling for me that no one's done it. You know, maybe they've offered him and he said he doesn't want to do it. No, my prediction's not 3-1, Murray. I said City are 3-1. But look, I'm going to repeat myself what I said earlier. I'm just convinced all the time Frank is here, we are cattle trapped, right? And I hate saying it, right? Because I really like Frank as a human being. You can tell he's a really good person, right? And I'm not saying he's a bad manager, Kate. He's just a terrible fit for Tottenham. You know, the way he plays football, the way he wants them to play. So I don't know what he's going to do here, but I would love to see Porro on the wing. But with this guy, you don't know. It could be a back five, couldn't it, tonight, with the players he's got out there. So we'll have to see.
Apparently, SofaScore, the BBC, all have Spence as a left winger tonight, which would be interesting. I mean, Harry, someone in the chat's just said to me, I'm being a little bit unfair because the players are frustrated. Because to be fair, it's not just Porro. I think that Spence's attitude of late has been pretty crap as well. Van der Ven looks like he wants to be anywhere but on the pitch at Spurs, and he's refusing to sign a new contract. Am I being harsh? Do you think it is just a fact that maybe Frank's lost the dressing room and the players aren't buying into this style of play at all?
It's difficult, isn't it? I think the players have shown 100% commitment. Whether he retains the support of the dressing room, I don't know. I look at Xavi Simons' body language, for example, in the press conference, and it doesn't look very promising at all. It feels like someone that doesn't like their boss. Either, you know, it's been a boss that's been there for a while and they're frustrated with them, or it's a new boss they just simply don't like and want to go back to the older times. If you look at body language, I'm not a body language expert. I'm not a voice reader or anything like that, you know, but the point was, I think he didn't look very happy at all. So I think the feeling is now players that tell, I think, represents the feeling of the squad, where they just want the manager out. But of course, their duty, a contract to keep playing for him. But deep down, I think, like Van der Ven as well, be keen to see the back of him. On Porro, I had a Porro post that blew up. on X this week that Paul O'Keefe interacted with, Mark Buckland for Tottenham Way, Lily White Labs, a load of people interacted with that was seen by 500,000 people, and it was huge. They blew up, and it was just me defending actually Pedro Porro. So by that you could say disagree. Listen, as a fan base, I'm going to say how it is. We're on our hands and knees trying to get Pedro Porro in the club, literally begging Levy on the final day to go over, and the timelines everywhere was spammed to people loving Pedro Porro beyond belief. Is obsessive, if I'm honest with you. It went far too far at the time, and it looks like that now. We brought him into the club, right? Let's not sugarcoat it. He's making mistakes, absolutely. But I find it funny. People talk about, it's directed at nobody, but people would talk about how he let Somerville cut inside for the West Ham goal. They don't talk about his ball in the box for Romero's header, bullet header for Romero, real passion and things like that. But what a ball. And I know Porro doesn't always get his crosses right, but I think we criticise all of his crosses because, you know, typically across his Spurs career, they're very good, and we know how good he is offensively. I just also would make the argument he looked bad at times under Ange because A, he played every game, and B, with playing wingers as inside like midfielders, inside forwards, you know, we played them in weird positions that was exposed. And now Porro, because we have incompetent midfielders and incompetent wingers, Porro's have to step in and do a job for someone. He's get caught out of position all the time. If everyone else done their job, he'd be able to do his. So for me, I think the hate's gone too far. I'd go as far as saying that people generally on social media have Porro as a massive scapegoat. I think they dislike him, and I go as far as say they hate on him regularly. It got to the point where some people do abuse him. Doesn't mean you can't question his performances, no doubt about it. You know, there's some real concerns with the way that he's been playing, but the guy plays every game. He played every game under Ange. He's played every game now under Frank, I think, but one. He's constantly playing and putting in a decent level of performance. He's not the problem with Tottenham. He blood, sweat and tears for the badge, gives 110%, loves this club, and sometimes maybe reacts in the wrong way. But the point is, to me, Porro, I think, would, and this is what was unpopular, this is why it blew up. I said that Porro would get into most other teams as a right back. Pep Guardiola said recently that, you know, City, he hinted towards they regret the decision to let Porro go. Pep spoke so highly of him since they let him go. I would make the case that he'd walk into, I'm going to say it now, so I'm going to go down very well. I think Porro would get into every side in the Premier League, but maybe Chelsea of Reece James and maybe one other. I think he'd start for them. I just think we can't see it because we're looking at a side that's conceding a lot of goals, and this is unpopular, is why a lot of people, Paul O'Keefe, example, that did disagree. I get on with really, really well. We get on well, but he disagreed with me on that. I think Pedro Porro is one of the best right backs whose game is being made to look bad because of incompetent individuals around him and incompetent managers that aren't getting the best out of him. His strength is going forward. It's a bit like Malik Diouf with West Ham. He's brought in as a midfielder, played at left back. He looks vulnerable defensively when he's one of their best players. That's the way I look at it. So Pedro Porro, I really like. I go as far as saying he's one of the better players in this team. Of course, he's got improved defensively, and he makes the same mistakes a lot. But I feel like he's now a scapegoat as fans. Richarlison's out injured. We need somebody else to scapegoat. You know, we've had Emerson Royal leave. Porro's now the scapegoat, and people are now saying that Porro's not fit to wear the shirt. This week, I've been told that Porro's not fit to wear the shirt. I've told he's not championship level. I've been told that Royale's 10 times better than him. This is by serious people. These are by people with podcasts and with platforms, huge podcasts, thousands listen to every day. So I find that hugely concerning. And I mean, I went a bit far, you know, I compared, you know, Porro with City similar to Salah with Chelsea, and you know, that's a very extreme comparison. The point is, City do regret letting him go. I do really like Porro. I think we need to get behind him. Of course, he's a erratic character, but I think he's a great player. He's passionate, but he needs a rest. Give him a rest. You know, have more competent individuals around him. Spend more on the team. Get the right recruitment, and he thrives, no doubt. Flourishes.
I agree with you to an extent. I think he's very passionate. I think he works hard and he plays all the time. I just don't like his antagonization, if that's even a word. I don't know if that is a word, of the fans at the minute. I think it like when he came out and said, I will not stand by and watch this. Well, who are you? Like, that's how I feel. But maybe I'm not singling him out. I
think it's passion. I think it's lost in translation. I think it's passion that comes across as aggression.
It's not, Harry. It's not passion. I'm sorry. He comes out and said only true fans have a right to support this club. I'm sorry. I've been supporting Tottenham 45 years. I have a right to I like Porro. I'm with you. I agree with you 95% on what you said. And I'm also backing you up. He would get into some other Premier League side. But I won't have him telling me how I should support my football club.
Of course.
I won't have him telling me after 44 years I'm not a true fan. I'm sorry.
No.
You're the one who was at fault for the West Ham goal on Saturday. Your performances haven't been good enough. Yeah, I understand he's being played game after game after game after game. I get it, and I get he's tired, and I'm surprised he hasn't come up injured yet. I know he is passionate about the football club. I understand all that, but I won't have him coming out and telling us what we're not allowed to have an opinion. Who is he to tell us? He's the one out on the
you're
pitch.
right. You're right, but at the same time, if we have players that are, fighting with fans, this is toxicity. The point is, what you're saying,
Yeah,
you're
but
right,
Eric
but
Dyer
it was
did
taken
it.
out of context. Yeah, no, I understand that. But the point was, some individual clearly said something disgusting because all the Spurs players are upset by it, and Porro's passionate about defending his teammates. But I think we've seen from whether it be post, I don't like to use that as the best example. I think that Porro really loves this club. I think it just gets lost the right way. Like Frank tries to make points about the club, how we're not in the position he wants us to be, but fans view that as, oh, he loves Arsenal, or oh, he hates Tottenham. It's not that. It just gets lost in translation. So I think we have people that aren't English coming to the Premier League. They've got a real point and they have a real passion. It's been vented and put across in the wrong way. I think you're right, Jim. Of course. Yeah, listen, nobody can tell. Porro has no right to tell Spurs fans how they feel. But Frank's point and Porro's point about true Spurs fans is important. The point is someone that goes every week and before a ball's kicked booing. If their fans booing the team before we've even kicked off, that isn't a true fan in my eyes. A true fan is there through thick and thin. You are a true fan, for example.
We pay the most expensive tickets in Europe. We've been watching absolute crap for the last 18 months or whatever.
You can't abuse players, though. That there is a line, isn't there?
Can I just finish? Sorry, Harry. I didn't interrupt.
Of course.
You shouldn't abuse players. Absolutely spot on. 100%. I agree with you. But the players have to give us something to get behind. The players have to. I can't get to every game. I live in Ireland. I would love to get to every game. I can only go to 1 or 2 games a year. The players have to give us something to get behind. As fans, we have to support the team no matter what. But we have a right to view our frustrations. We pay the high ticket prices in Europe, pay the highest season tickets in Europe. We're not having a great season. The board ain't helping. That's another subject completely. The fans have a right to voice their disapproval of what we're seeing on the football pitch. Yes, social media is an absolute nightmare and it should be tightly controlled, whatever. But players do not have a right to come out and attack the fans. Thomas Frank doesn't have the right to say, I want my manager to be positive, not to come out in his first press conference, we are going to lose games. That ain't going to fill me with confidence.
Yes.
And where I agree, lost in translation, yes, but we as fans have a right and we should be allowed that right.
You are right.
Rightly or wrongly, we do have a right.
I think Porro was talking about whether Vicario was booed when he made that mistake, which I'm going to say it now. I don't think any true Spurs fan should be booing Vicario after making a mistake. That's how I feel. I agree with Thomas Frank. I think that's what Porro's comments were about. I could be wrong. I seem to remember that was in the moment, but your point is right, and I enjoyed the discussion. So thank you.
Sorry,
yeah,
Harry.
I mean,
No, thank you.
Jim, how do you feel on what I've, Porro is very outspoken. Is it passion?
You know my feelings on Porro. I love him. If you look at all the good wins we get, Porro's always in the midst of it. He's a very important player for us, right? And some games he's not in the game and he makes mistakes, but I think that's a team thing. When the team's not playing well, players do drop off, and get a little bit more nervous. And but my feelings on Porro. I think I've said to you before, Kate, we're lucky to have him. He could be at a much bigger club than ours. But look, I don't really take much notice of when they come out and they say something. I saw them. I've seen the arguments over what's his name, our captain,
Romero.
Yeah, Romero making a statement. I don't 100% agree with it, but I don't really care. Right? I don't really care what they come out and say. Just play football good and win us games. That's what I care about. At the end of the day, they're human beings. They're entitled, if they're frustrated, to say something. If it's right or wrong, I don't really give a shit. All I give a shit about is they win games for us and play good football. And I have to agree with Harry in the sense of that he is a fantastic player. And I really like him. And he's one of the players I think we're lucky to have.
What I tell you what is outrageous, we've got 600 watching, only 87 likes. That is outrageously bad. You're getting a free therapy session here. All we ask for in payment is a like, please. if that's not too much to ask, let's assume, regardless of what happens tonight, win, lose or draw, that we get an announcement tonight or tomorrow that Thomas Frank has departed. I didn't put it forward. Someone in my chat actually put it forward, and I thought it was quite a good call, bringing in Tim Sherwood for the rest of the season. He's got the highest home record in a while, 70-odd%, whereas Frank's is 18.2.
72%.
Yeah. Harry, you looked very worried when I said that. Who would you like in an ideal world and realistically to bring in as an interim and a permanent in sort of the summer?
I'm too young to remember Sherwood, but I hate listening to the guy on Sky. I think he hasn't got a clue half the time what he's on about, honestly. And I've give anyone a bit of time. There's some people that aren't always, all the ticket or on the ball, and I think, okay, you're fine, and I'll give you the kind of, benefit of the doubt. But he's just one that every time I think, oh, for God's sake, he's gonna go on a tangent off topic. I'll be asked a question. I mean, maybe it's me doing it as well, but he just completely goes off topic. But anyway, I just can't. He just frustrates me as hell. I mean, Porro would be in the team. Let me tell you that. Maybe that's why I don't like him. He doesn't like Porro. He voices concern very quickly.
I can tell you now, right, that he was the one that stopped Spurs selling Kane, and he was the one. He was the one to give him his first games.
Yes, I knew about Kane. So there's, of course, it's positive. So I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, he'd be disastrous, because I don't know. I just think that maybe he's got too much time in his hands, too much to say now. But again, a lot of names. I think fans are just linking names for passion. Hoddle, Klinsmann, the amount of names that I've seen. I think we have to put passion aside. I think we need someone that loves the club, absolutely. But I think we also need someone who can do a job. That's the important thing. There's some names that I've seen mentioned I don't think can do a job. Put it that way. It's very difficult to say. I think the obvious one would be to put Frank's current assistant, the new assistant, in charge. I think he's highly liked at Liverpool. I think that would be the sensible thing to do, an interim till the end of the year. Again, I don't know enough about him to know if it's the right thing or not. I just think it's right to make a permanent appointment in the summer. I don't want Ryan Mason. I say there's a couple of people I don't. Definitely no to Harry Redknapp. Definitely no to Ryan Mason. There's a couple of names that I would eliminate instantly. So I think in the summer, it's got to be a permanent appointment. We need someone to get over the line. I don't know who's the right one. A lot of people, just throw one out here, and I'm not even going to give my opinion necessarily. But if people, including the club, want Pochettino back, there is one of his assistants, I believe, that hasn't gone with Poch to the US. So do you put him on an interim till the end of the year and bring in Poch? I'm just thinking outside the box, highly unlikely.
I did say that, yeah. I said that earlier. Yeah, spot on. I agree with that, Harry.
My bad. Sorry about that. Yeah, there you go.
It's a good point, actually. It's a very good point.
What did you say? Harry went to the US?
There's one of I don't know who it is, if I'm honest with you, but I know there's a member of Pochettino's team that have not gone with him to the US. If I'm not mistaken, I remember reading that at the time. I don't know who it is.
I never knew that.
Thinking out. No, I didn't know until a couple of weeks ago. So that could be an option. But apart from that, I think it's tough for Tottenham who they bring in, and it's really tough. Frank Lampard's not going to happen, is it? But no, I don't know. If I'm honest with you, I don't know. That's why I've been behind Frank. I don't know who can come in and do a better job. Put it this way: if Frank goes, someone else comes in. I don't think we win 8 games in a row. I don't think we finish in the top 6. I don't think we should finish in the top 8. I don't even think we finish inside the top 10. So for me, we've got to get it better. I think we need to stop the risk of going down at this rate. So Frank has to go, but there's no obvious replacement to come in.
The guy that you're talking about, Heitingham, or whatever his name is, was horrendously bad at Ajax to the point
At the end.
And
Not the start.
Ajax is still recovering from the mess that he left behind. But
correct. Look, I think he started well, but he went off a cliff. Yeah, you are right to mention.
Dermot, what are your thoughts on an interim and a permanent? When Frank eventually buggers off.
Can I throw a hand grenade in and just walk off? Right, I'm
Go
going
on.
to throw a hand grenade in. I'm going to love the chat what they're going to say to this. Right, it's a bit of fun. Right, bring back Ange. It can't get any worse. I loved your face there, Kate. I knew that I'd get that reaction. Right, I'm joking. I am joking. I'm joking. Sorry. Look, I would bring in, if we're bringing back Pochettino in the summer, bring back the person that is not gone with him to the US. Look, I'm a big fan of Robbie Keane. I know Robbie Keane hasn't got a lot of manager experience, but bring Harry Redknapp back. I love the time under Harry. I really do. Tim Sherwood for me. Okay, I remember. He may have had the highest win ratio at home, but I didn't like him as a manager. I get your point though. But for me, I see the chat's gone mad. I knew that would happen, so I did that deliberately. I am joking, guys. Joking. Martin Yell, that's a good shout. Harry, with Robbie Keane as interim. Robbie Keane would get that squad going in there. He knows how Tottenham play, and then bring Poch back in the summer.
But Robbie Keane's in a job, isn't he? And he's doing very well. So I don't see him leaving.
Yeah, I think it's Greece he's in at the moment. But we're not getting Xabi Alonso. He'd be going to Liverpool. I know we've got Xabi Horrendous out there as well. He's available. But Tottenham go two ways. Go an interim or have a manager ready to bring in. So you've got 16 games left of the Premier League season. Is that enough time for a new manager to come in and sort out the squad? Is that what Tottenham's thinking? Who knows? We did sack Nuno and bring in Conte within 24 hours. So it's a tough one. It really is. But I thought I'd put Andrew in just to see what the reaction I would get in the chat. And it hasn't let me down. Kate's reaction for me is the reaction of the season. For me, that's reaction for me. Sorry.
Unai Emery's tied into a huge contract at Villa, and he's not going anywhere. Jimbo, what?
I just want to say, Joey Boy said Andrew will come in, win the Champions League, and get us relegated.
Yeah. What about you, interim and permanent?
Look, I'm not sure, Kate. I'd like to see Poch back because I just think he understands this club, right? And he understands the fans, and I think that he will reunite everybody, you know. And I think the fans will give him that little bit more of leeway to rebuild because they know what he can do, because what he did for us. I mean, look, I just said I've been supporting this club for 55 years, and some of the best football I've seen in this club was under Poch. Some of the football we played under him, I know we had the players, but he would need to rebuild, wouldn't he? But interim, I don't know, Kate. I think it's a much. This is if you bring Sherwood in, if you bring Robbie Keane in, I don't think there's going to be much difference. I think they get them going and they're organise them better and get some wins under our belt just to get us away from the relegation. I don't really think it matters who you bring in, right? I don't think we're going to get European football this year, you know, and unless it's a permanent manager that's the top manager, we might have half a chance. But with an interim, I don't think we'll get European football this year. So I think next year we'll be out of Europe.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who knows me will know that I adore Poch to the point where I loved him so much I didn't want him back because I thought we might let him down. But I can't think about anyone other than him. I think he's the only one who will unite the fan base, give us the identity we crave. And I agree. I think it's the only manager that fans will back and give time to. But it is coming to the end of the therapy session, and I'm going to go really quick and speak really fast so that nobody can get too upset by my score prediction. But tonight I'm predicting 5-1 to Dortmund. On to you, Harry. What score are you predicting for Dortmund?
I hate this because I have this thing where I stick myself up because, like with my content, for example, I pride in honesty, not being a sheep, which most people are of my age, not being funny. They follow a trend, follow the bandwagon. Let's say how it is with football and beyond. So I pride myself in honesty, but also I'm really positive. So that doesn't work well together, let me tell you that. So being honest with you, 4-1 Dortmund. I think, do you know what? I think it's going to be horrible. When I say horrible, I think, put it this way, come 80 minutes, I think it'd be 1-1, 2-1 to Dortmund. We'd be competitive and play okay. But I think we just fall apart and crumble at the end. And I think it'll be the end to Frank. And I think it'd be quite a sad kind of feel to see the game really run away from us. I think Frank will be standing there. And I've just have the image in his head of ended it sad rather than angry, which I'd rather. I don't want it being sad at all, but I don't want it being hostile. I don't want it being toxic. Nobody should want it to be toxic. But I cannot stress enough, I'd love to be proved wrong. I really want Spurs to win this game, like I do with every other game. So fingers crossed. I just give people context. This is only the second time I predicted Spurs to lose this season, so it hurts to do so. But I'd be lying to myself, and I've never ever been able to lie to myself without revealing my colours. So 4-1 Dortmund with regret. Love to be proven wrong. Wouldn't surprise me though if Spurs delivered when we don't expect them to. Whenever the odds are stacked against us, the cards are stacked against us, like with City in particular, we go and deliver. So come on, you Spurs.
Yeah, I agree. Steve D is saying 2-1 to Spurs. Optimistic for a 2-2 draw. 3-1 to Dortmund at halftime. Frank sacked at halftime. Do you know what? That'd probably be less painful than him having to stand there and listen to what's coming his way. 3-0 Dortmund, 3-1 Spurs. Come on. 1-1 realistically. I mean, we have got a good record against Dortmund, and we have got an excellent record at home in the Champions League so far. I just cannot see past the scoreline I gave. I'm not repeating it. 3-2. 2-1 Spurs is paid. Dermot, what are you fancying for tonight? Yeah, I thought you
I
muted
can't
them.
never back against my team. I'm sorry. I can't. Oh no, sorry. No, I can never back against my team. Never have done. I never will. Even if we're crap, I can't do it. Look, I respect your honesty, guys. I really do. I respect your honesty, Kate and Harry as well. But I can't do it. Look, my head's telling me we're going to lose, but I always follow my heart when it comes to Spurs. I'm going for a 2-1 win. I'm with Steve D. Win the game. At least Frank can go out as a winner. At least if he's achieved something. He's won a game for Spurs. But yeah, for me, 2-1 Tottenham. Come on, boys.
We Are Spurs TV. I'm going to stick up for my husband here because I've seen you post this all over the place. And yes, those words did come out of Jim's mouth. West Ham are really bad, but we won't lose to them. And to be fair, West Ham are really bad. And in a real world, we shouldn't lose to them. But things happen because if we was right all the time, we'd be rich. I'm just going to put that out there.
What did he say?
He said West Ham are really bad, but we won't lose to them because that's what you said at the pump up.
Yeah. Look, if I say something, I don't try and deny it or cower away from it. I was absolutely for 2 days, right, dumbfounded. Right, Leo. We lost to West Ham because, I mean, I've been watching them this season, and they're one of the worst teams in the league. Wolves play better football than them, and that's a fact. If you watch Wolves play football, they play better football than West Ham. And I was absolutely devastated. I didn't think for love nor money, right, that Tottenham would lose to them, and we did. So, what can I say? But do you know something about me, right? I talk about football a lot, but I am wrong a lot. That's just me.
Yeah, he is. As his wife, he's always wrong. Jimbo, what's your score prediction for tonight, Mr. Wrong?
Well, look, I'm looking at that team, right? And I've watched a lot of YouTube this week, different people, and everybody thinks that this team's a terrible team. But I don't think it's as bad as people think it is, right? There's some good players in there, right? And this might be what we needed, right, to be put in a position where these players had to play. And it might do us good. And I think we're going to walk out 2-1 winners tonight.
2-1 winners. So you and Dermot are the same on there. Kate said 5-1 to Dortmund, but meant 6-1 to Spurs. Oh, please God, I'll be over the moon. Look, it's come to the end of the show. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in. Thank you to everyone on the panel, as always. Harry, what's going on over at Harry Scarf at the moment?
Firstly, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to saying that, I don't know if I meant to reveal it or not, but I'm going to be going in studio with We Are Tottenham TV for some live watch-alongs in 2026 of this year for the end of the season. So really grateful for all you guys' support, and be able to do that is a huge privilege. But in terms of my own content, you can follow me at Harry Scarf22, football content creator, YouTuber, also autism advocate. Sorry, as someone who's autistic, it means a lot, and it's got to the point now where I set up the channel in 2021, the back end when I was 13, because it was my kind of safe space. I love talking Tottenham. I love talking in front of camera, and now to be able to give in 2025 over 150 people with learning disabilities an opportunity to come on, it means a lot. And this is absolutely not about me, but it's about giving people the platform, because we're moving away from football. People with learning disabilities are ignored, they're blanked from everyday problems, and for me it's only unfortunately getting worse for them. Believe it or not, people think there's more understanding. There is, but also there is worse. There's also been ignored, I think, and neglected. So for me, it means a lot. I can't stress enough. And when I say I have fire in my belly, I do. I really do. And I'm passionate about this club, and I'm hoping we can turn it around for our amazing supporters. So honestly, thank you to everyone in the chat. So get the message last week to be invited in studio meant a lot to me, and it's been a big journey, winning an award last year, and being able to have that platform, I'm incredibly grateful for. And just a fan that says things how I feel, and hate along the way, of course, can be expected. But no, people are amazing in the chat. So thank you so much.
Excellent, Harry. You're always welcome, and do go over and sub to Harry. Loads of great content over there. Thank you as always for coming on. I think you're on for the next Champions League show next week.
I am.
Well,
I'm
yes,
very delighted to be back. Thank you for
Good.
having me as always. Great host and great to be on with both of you. Always, honestly, amazing.
Always good to have you on.
You're
And
learning a lot from me, Harry, especially the score lines.
Dermatron, what's
true.
going on over at THFC till we die?
Just the same as Harry. I'm the older. I'm autistic as well, so I'm the older version. So Harry, this is what you got to be when you're my age. So you got something to look forward to.
You did some great work.
No, thank you. I really appreciate that. Like Harry, I would THFC till we die. We do all the normal Spurs stuff. We're doing some Irish stuff in March to see can Ireland qualify for the World Cup. So we're looking forward to that. But yeah, just loads of Spurs content. We've had a really good end to the year, really good 2025. We've started 2026 with a bang. So we're really growing at the moment. But again, thank you guys for having me on here. It's an absolute privilege and a honor to be on Spurs TV, a channel I watched that got me into YouTube. So yeah, coming on here is like I've reached the pinnacle of YouTube. And so thank you very much, guys, for having me on. And it's great
Always
with Harry and you two above, who are legends, the Posh and Becks, as I call you, of the YouTube world.
I don't know which one's which. Always an honour to have you on, Dermot. We have got an American / Canadian contingent coming on at the weekend. We've got Lazy A and Bobby K, so it's bound to be a little bit of carnage at the weekend for the pump up, or should I say therapy session. Do also come over if you want to Jimbo and I. We are back tomorrow at 12:30 lunchtime doing a match recap. And also, if you've got nothing to do tonight, obviously We Are Tottenham TV have the watch along and then the fan show. But I am on Chris Cowling straight after the game. I hate to be the kiss of death, but I don't think I've been on Chris Cowling yet when we've won. So it doesn't bode well. But
records are there to be broken, Kate. Come on, you know that. Records there to be
exactly.
broken.
But look, thank you very, very much to everyone who's watched. We ended up with 159 likes. I'll take that all day long. Enjoy the game. Try and keep your chin up. At the end of the day, it is only football, and that it's always darkest before the dawn. And Tottenham's time is coming. But look, enjoy the game. Thank you again to the guests, and as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come, you Spurs.